Let's talk about Ran, which was it's a re-release, a film made by Akira Kurosawa in 1985, the great Japanese director behind films like Rashomon, Seven Samurai, Ikiru, Yojimbo, all of these classics. Ran was basically his last great epic, and there was a 10-year struggle behind making it. But, I mean, my word, was that struggle worth it? The film is loosely inspired by King Lear, also some other elements of Shakespeare plays are folded in there too, particularly Macbeth. One of the characters is a very Lady Macbeth-like figure. But it also ties up with Japanese legends and historical stories. And the fact that the plots behind these, stories that have emerged on opposite sides of the planet line up so well, it tells you that this film is saying some very universal things about human nature. What I say about human nature is not very nice at all. It's a film about pride. It's about greed, spite, vengeance and madness, and the drama is expressed on a scale so grand it's difficult to describe. I mean, at times watching this film, it almost feels like watching a lightning storm tear apart a mountain. I mean, it's just this incredible visceral experience. The title actually means chaos, but it's a very particular kind of chaos that stems from human frailty. So you have, back in the medieval times, Hidetora, who's a Japanese lord, has decided he's coming to the end of his life, and he's decided to split his kingdom, King Lear style, between his three sons, and they're Taro, Jiro, and Saburo. And the old man believes, rather foolishly, that this will create a lasting peace because the brothers will be able to rule in concert with each other. Now, Saburo recognises this is a terrible idea, and he outrages his father by being honest with him, and he is exiled. And so Taro and Jiro return to their castles, and inevitably the kingdom descends into civil war. And part of the problem with this is that their wives are the daughters of lords that Hidetora himself conquered in his period of, building up his kingdom. So the seeds of this kingdom's destruction are sown into it from the start. This isn't just the brothers striking up some kind of awful rivalry that spills over into national discord. It's something that is absolutely baked into this political situation. Now, Hidetora is, first of all, brought low and then driven mad by seeing his kingdom fall apart. And there's a sequence where he loses his mind during this enormous battle at one castle that is just kind of... It's hard to even put into words. I don't want to compare everything favourably to Batman versus Superman, but when you see the kind of airless combat in that film, compare it to a battle scene of this scale and this kind of sense of danger. You have entire towers burning down, flaming arrows whistling past the cast's heads, by what looks like centimetres.
I was reminded of films like, the Lord of the Rings trilogy, where you have these huge armies doing battle and, like you say, arrows flying past their head. But we know it's computer generated.
Yes, right.
And there's at that stage, perhaps they hadn't quite worked out how to get the heft into CG. So you didn't feel anything for any of these mass deaths you were seeing. In Ran, war is messy. Horses fall over. I hope they weren't too badly hurt, but people fall over as they're charging. We see in the first battle pretty much every death, and we linger on it, and you really feel that every life matters in a way that in some blockbusters, especially with modern technology, they don't.
And these battle scenes were enormously influential. Peter Jackson hugely influenced by them for The Lord of the Rings. Also, Steven Spielberg's Saving Private Ryan, the boat landing sequence at the start of that film, picks up on a lot of stuff from Ran that you'll notice. But one of the very smart things about this battle, the film is scored by a composer called Toru Takemitsu, who's just a wonderful, wonderful composer. And rather, you have the kind of echoing chaos of this battle. But then Kurosawa drops the sound out and just fills your ears with the score. And that basically puts you into Hidetora's mind as it's kind of his whole psyche is fracturing, watching his kingdom fall apart in front of him. And it makes it incredibly epic, but also incredibly personal. And that is something that Kurosawa does in this film with total mastery, is that the enormousness of the action is in no way undermines or cancels out the kind of minutiae, the claustrophobic minutiae of the political kind of backstabbing that's going on.
And just a father letting his sons down as well, if you want to read it that way.
It's a totally personal story, but spelled out over the destiny of a nation.
And I know he's not really a hero, Hidetora, but I would love to get to old age and just dress like him, because his outfits in that film are incredible.
Well, look, the costume designer actually won an Oscar at the time. It wasn't
really.
I don't think the film was wildly popular in Japan, but it did get a bit of an international following, and it did get one costume design Oscar. I mean, it's just an all-time masterpiece, and the opportunity to see it big and in this kind of beautifully meticulous 4K digital restoration that's going around, you have to see it big. You have to be kind of settled down and just kind of be bowled over by it.
Yeah, it's a must-see. I would agree with that.